Hi there, it's Debbie from celestialastrologyhealing.co.uk, and today I'd like to talk about the forthcoming new moon tomorrow on the 16th of August at 11:38, that's GMT time here in the UK in Scotland. So I love this image of the Leo lion, the leader of the pack. He's dynamic, he's warm, he's proud, he's regal, and he represents the sun and the moon at this time in the Northern Hemisphere, at this sunny time of year when the height and the warmth of the sun is at its strongest, just after the summer solstice of the Cancerian season. So what can we say about Leo? Leo is the lion. He is of the nature of yang, masculine outward energy. It's a fixed fire sign of the zodiac, and he is powerful, regal, creative, strong, dynamic, and he likes to shine his light because the sun is the ruler of Leo. I'd like to share another image as well as the chart. Here's a lovely image as well, and it's showing the new moon, which we can see after a couple of days after the actual new moon, because it's a dark sky, and a couple of days after the new moon we get to see the sliver of hope as the light returns, showing the crescent moon that starts to build. So at the time of a new moon, it's when we can plant seeds of intention. And with Leo being the ruler of the sun and the moon, which are both conjunct at 23 degrees Leo, 17 minutes, and this is in the UK at 10:38 in the morning, the energy is about your own personal gifts. What have you got that you can bring to the world? What can you shine out in your creativity and offerings to others? Because Leo is also a very generous sign of the zodiac. And if you work with the cycles of the new and the full moon, new moons are a time of planting seeds, thinking about new beginnings and intentions that you'd like to bring to fruition. And then the full moon in Leo, we get one new moon and one full moon in each sign of the zodiac each year. It will be 6 months later during the Aquarius season when the sun will be in Aquarius and the moon will be directly opposite. And that will be on the 25th of January 2024, when you can aim to bring these projects to fruition with the new moon ideas that are planted at this time. If you like my videos and you haven't already subscribed, I really would welcome you clicking the subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything. You can unsubscribe if you don't enjoy what I do. It helps my videos get seen, and it gives me inspiration to do more videos to share any of my astrological knowledge, which I'm very passionate about. So thank you so much for doing that. And then I'm going to be bringing up the chart now to show the chart of the new moon and what's going on in the heavens with all the other planetary placements. So bear with me. So here's a chart of the new moon when we can see the sun and the moon both at 23 degrees Leo, 17 minutes. Let me just get my annotate tool. This is always a bit of fun. Oh, that's definitely not what I wanted to do. I told you it was a bit of fun. Let me see here. Okay, so here is the arrow that I was looking for. So the sun and the moon at new moon are always conjunct. So you would have to adapt to your time zone. This is British summertime, where we take off an hour from GMT, Greenwich Meridian time. So if you're to the east of this, you will be having this new moon later in the day. No, if you're in the west, you'll be having this new moon later in the day. And if you're in the east, it will be earlier in the day. So just adjust to your time zones. So here is this new moon. We have a stellium of planets here. We have Venus at 18 degrees in Leo as well at the time of this new moon. So Venus has been gracing us in Leo, bringing these warm, generous, buoyant, fun-loving, creative energies of passion and pleasures and creativity for a longer period of time, because she's retrograde. So normally Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, union, passion, pleasures, it can be about vanity as well, and also about finances. She's been in Leo for a much longer period, and she will be for about 4 months instead of a few weeks. She's recently gone retrograde and gone through the heart of the sun. So even though she's retrograde here at 18 degrees here, she actually was Kazemi with the sun. Where's my notes? I believe it was on the 12th of August, which was about 3 days ago. So she was retrograde as an evening star before she went into the heart of the sun. So when a planet is in the heart of the sun, Kazemi, this is an ancient term, they're seen to be given extra power. Being seated with in the heart of the sun is like being on the throne, with the king being given extra special powers. So she was an evening star setting in the west. Then she was reborn after being in the heart of the sun, Kazemi, and now she rises before the sun. So she's now risen as a morning star. So when she's seen in the dawn sky, she's therefore seen as more warrior-like, more masculine, more assertive, trying to change the wrongs of the world. Whereas when she was an evening star, she was more passive and more unifying and peaceful. So we've got this quite powerful Venus here, still retrograde. She is at 18 degrees 39 minutes, and she's passed through the heart of the sun. So there's some type of energy around asserting ourselves within our relationships, because Venus is about our one-to-one relationships quite significantly, given the flavor of Leo. And at the time of retrograde, we can review, revise, reflect on past relationships or issues within relationships that may need attention for healing and to walk our paths in life in balance and in harmony, rectifying any imbalances that weren't healthy in the past. And at this time of Venus retrograde, there could be patterns coming up. You may see people from the past. You may think about past relationships. And there's also these 8-year cycles that Venus has. So if you go back 8 years, she would have also been retrograde in Leo back then. So you can do the maths there. So at the same time as this Venus co-present with the sun and the moon in Leo, we also have a square from the erratic planet Uranus. So Uranus is at 23 degrees exact in Taurus, and that makes a complete square, a 90-degree angle to the sun and the moon. So 90-degree square angles are of the nature of Mars, and Mars is the warrior planet who brings conflict, and he fights for what he believes in. So Uranus himself, because he's erratic, unpredictable, his orbit is unusual. He was discovered, Uranus is a modern planet, discovered in the 1700s at a time of the Industrial Revolution. So he represents things that are new inventions, new ideas, things that really make big changes and change the traditions of the past. Uranus can also be likened to volcanoes that erupt and cause disruption, and earthquakes or lightning bolts that are really unexpected and shocking events and destabilizing events. So when we have a square to the moon and the sun from Uranus, there can be a mix of different energies. There could be unexpected events, destabilization, or on the other hand, there could be more inventive ideas, more outlandish things, thinking outside the box and wanting to feel liberated and freer in some respects. So that's another thing going on in the heavens. We always have many different things going on in the heavens, all having a different effect, sort of creating, it's like eddies and flows, and some are happening for longer periods of time, and some are just short-lived, like the moon moving every 2.5 days into different signs. But Uranus is very slow moving. It takes 84 years to go around the whole zodiac, and spends about 7 years in each sign of the zodiac. And Uranus is moving direct, but on the 29th of August, so about 13 days after this new moon, Uranus will station retrograde at 23 degrees Taurus, 4 minutes. So in 4 minutes time, basically adding 4 minutes onto where Uranus is, he will start moving retrograde. So that might be a time. It depends where the Taurus house is in your chart. So if you don't know how to read your own chart, I can put a link below. If you know your time of birth, that's crucial to get your ascendant. Then use the whole sign house system and see where Taurus is in your chart, and see where Uranus is in Taurus, co-present with Jupiter, and this will be an idea of what's going on in a certain house, a certain area of your life, because each house represents a different area. So this would be for a Libran ascendant, because Libra is here at the 9 o'clock position where it says AS, that's 10 degrees Libra, 45 minutes. So for a Libran ascendant person, Uranus would be in the 8th house, co-present with Jupiter. Jupiter brings gifts, Uranus brings new ideas or destabilization. Sorry about that. And this is in the house of other people's money, things like karmic debt, money that comes from your partner or from other sources. It's also the house of anxieties and death and mystery. So it can be about inheritances. So money that comes in, so there's gifts there and unexpected changes or unpredictable events happening in that area of life. Also going into the house, the 11th house, which is to do with your friendship groups, your communities and allies, people that are supportive to you. So that could be, you know, big changes or some unexpected events coming to Libran ascendants in relation to money and finances from others. And also this new moon in the 11th house, that is the second derived house from the 10th house of career. So the second house can represent finances from your career and occupation. So something new beginning here, or new potential with the new moon, which can take a cycle to come to fruition. So that's just an example of how the Uranus square might be at work in a Libran ascendant chart. So what else is going on? We've also got Pluto here. Pluto is very slow moving, takes 248 years to go around the whole zodiac, and is currently retrograded back into Capricorn after dipping his toe into Aquarius. And Pluto is still squaring the lunar nodes, which recently changed into the different axes of Aries and Libra. So again, this is a square coming from these, that looks like the headphones, that's Rahu, the north node of the moon here, and the south node is always opposite and always go retrograde against the grain of the sign of the planet. So the lunar nodes go clockwise around the chart, and all the planets actually move in this direction, the secondary direction here. So when we have this squaring from Pluto, any shifts that began at the new moon eclipse on the 20th of April, that was a new moon solar eclipse in Aries. Aries is the sign of the zodiac. Again, knowing where Aries house is in your chart will show you where there is potential over the next 18 months for things to come to fruition, because a new moon solar eclipse is like a new moon given extra power. It's like on steroids, I've heard by another astrologer, extra power at a new moon to plant seeds. So we have the new moon in Leo, but back in April on the 20th, we had a new moon solar eclipse, and the rest of the solar eclipses will be across the Aries and Libra axis, apart from we've got one, I think, in October, which finishes off the Taurus full moon when the sun is in Scorpio. So this square from Pluto in Capricorn, there's like finishing up things in Capricorn, which is to tie up ends of all these sort of authoritarian things. This is talking more humanitarian and society, how things affect society. But when it squares, again, the nature of Mars is some challenges related to how you do things for yourself, because Aries is a very assertive, self-aware sign, the first sign of the zodiac at the astrological new year, symbolizing spring equinox. So when there was a new moon solar eclipse in Aries, there's opportunities to develop our own courage, self-reliance, personal challenges and self-belief in whatever that area of Aries represents in your own natal chart. And the square to the South Node in Libra is more about relationships and what you do within partnerships and relationships. So it's finding balance. Again, that opposition of the nodes are always in opposition, and Pluto is squaring. Pluto is about power. Pluto is about regeneration, about deconstructing things, purging, breaking down from the endings and the death of an old way, new ways, release, healing, and new beginnings and rebirth can begin. So that's all going on at the same time. And another aspect that we have going on here is Mars, 22 degrees in Virgo, coming into an opposition to slow-moving outer planet Neptune. So Neptune is a planet that was discovered during the times of the spiritualism in society, when people went to shows for seances or magical imagery and things like that. So it's related to spiritualism, magical realms, other realms that exist other than the earthly realm. So it can be very nebulous, it can be very dreamy, it can be very creative. There's many ways that Neptune can affect us. It can be very compassionate. And Mars in Virgo likes to be very productive and earthy, because Virgo is an earth sign, a mutable earth sign. So Mars uses his energy in Virgo to be productive, to work hard, to sort of analyze and be organized and analytical and be aware of all the details that Virgo is very much aware of. But the Virgin, who brings in the harvests, who discards the chaff and keeps the wheat, and she knows what's good. So when Mars is opposite Neptune, this happens around the 18th of August. There's an applying opposition exact on the 23rd of August, and still within orb separating on the 27th of August. There could be some sort of sense of depletion around our way that we apply ourselves in our energetic way of action. There's more nebulous energies around how we might work in the productive, typical way of Virgo, with Neptune shining this ethereal sort of light at this time, which might be more creative and spiritual. And, you know, if we can be more adaptable, because Pisces is a mutable water sign, Virgo is a mutable earth sign, there's this ability to use these energies of this opposition of Mars and Neptune to be spontaneous and enjoy the journey that might just take us off the more well-trodden path, to be experiencing things that just you're not expected. You might feel a bit like wishy-washy, you might feel a little bit depleted in energy, but just like go with the flow, be kind to yourself, and just enjoy the ride, really. And also, what else have we got on? We've also got Mercury will be going retrograde on the 23rd of August. So let's point out Mercury. Mercury and Mars have been in Virgo here. Mercury actually rules Virgo. So Mercury works well in Virgo, being productive, being able to use the skills of action well. Mercury also works well in the other domicile sign that he rules, or she rules, which is the air sign of Gemini. But there's more of an earthiness of action and doing in Virgo. It's more about the body, about the health, about holistic things, about being of service. And Mercury has been in a shadow period since the 4th of August. So before Mercury goes retrograde, Mercury moves really quite slowly. And then Mercury will station direct on the 15th of September, 2023. And again, for the first few weeks, a couple of weeks, it takes the post-shadow period until the 30th of September, when Mercury will gain the normal speed that he or she is used to moving at. I say he, she, because Mercury can be either or. He's a psychopomp that takes the bodies from the physical world into the spiritual realm. He's a magician, he's the merchant, he's the communicator and the traveler. So when Mercury is retrograde, on the 23rd of August onwards until the 15th of September, it's probably best to be aware of having some flexibility around glitches in communication, in travel plans, in tech, What else? Selling things, because Mercury is the merchant. It's probably not the best time to buy things. You might buy something and regret it afterwards, but it's a good time to revise, review, reflect, and go back over things, double check things, and just, expect the unexpected with this Mercury retrograde, and just be aware that there can be glitches and there can be miscommunications, but using the energies in a different way, you can just go back over things, go back over previous studies, think more about the future, and just to take time during this time until after the shadow period, probably the 30th of September onwards, when Mercury can go a bit more dynamically, although there will be a different energy because Mercury will be moving into the sign of his detriment, which is Libra. Is that right? No, Mercury will not be doing that. Just ignore that last bit there. Mercury, yeah, no, Mercury will be going into Libra. Now, I was thinking about Mars moving into Libra on the 28th of August, when Mars will be going into his detriment, which is more about maybe challenging that sort of nature of being practical, and then being in detriment. Mars is tending to be, unlike Aries, the fiery way, a bit more indecisive, a bit more peacemaking, working with others, but there can be indecision around decisions because Libra is the scales, and just it's like, oh, shall I do this? Shall I do that? Trying to work out what others feel as well. So yeah, Mercury will be in Virgo and then go direct and then move into Libra, but Mercury doesn't have any particular loss of dignity at all in Libra, but Mars does. So yeah, just thinking back to the new moon, which is where we started, I hope that you can think about things that you can bring to the table, that you'd like to offer the world, that you'd like to shine out and share your gifts, generosity and connection with others, and to send you blessings. And again, if you can be bothered with all my glitchy mistakes, just subscribe to my channel. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Okay, thanks, and happy new moon in Leo tomorrow on the 16th of August. Bye for now.